Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the NW Sportscast. Thank you all so much for watching. Today we continue our series of going through every single Mariners reliever and projecting them for the 2024 season, going through their player profiles. Today's reliever is Mauricio Llovera. I hope I pronounced that right. Let's give you guys a little bit of background information. If you don't know who Mauricio Llovera is, then I'm going to tell you. Mauricio Llovera came up in 2020 with the Philadelphia Phillies. He pitched one game and had a 36 ERA. He allowed 4 runs in 1 inning. In 2021, he was back with the Phillies. He pitched in just 6 games and put together a 9.45 ERA, so still not very good. He allowed 7 runs in 6.2 innings. Then in 2022, he wound up with the San Francisco Giants, where he threw 17 games for a 4.41 ERA. Quite a bit better. 16 innings, 20 strikeouts, 3.72 FIP, 1.347 WHIP, and a record of 0-0. Then in 2023, Mauricio Llovera actually got a chance to pitch quite a bit more. Last year was his most workload of his career as a 27-year-old. He started with the Giants and then wound up actually pitching 25 games with the Boston Red Sox. Last season, in 30 games total, he threw 35 innings. He struck out 29 batters, walked 15, allowed 36 hits, FIP of 4.34, ERA plus 94, WHIP 1.45, record of 2-3, and an ERA of 4.89. His wins above replacement last year was negative 0.2, and his career wins above replacement is negative 0.3. He has a career ERA of 5.80. So Mauricio Llovera, the stats don't jump off the page. Obviously, last year was the only year that he's really actually pitched significantly in the league. And as a 28-year-old, is there room to grow? Sure, I think there can be. Looking at his Baseball Savant page, if you guys know me, you know I love Baseball Savant. Looking at the Savant page, there's some interesting things here, but there's also a lot of blue. He has a pretty high ground ball percentage. That's good to see. And he does limit barrel rates. That's something that is very, very consistent with all of these Mariners relievers. Is clearly we like relievers who don't allow barrels. This guy, if he had qualified, he would have been 78th percentile in barrel rates. He didn't qualify last season, but if he did, he would have been high. His fastball velo is pretty average, 94.5. His expected ERA last year was 4.93, and his actual ERA was 4.89. So he was very close in that realm. His pitching run value comes in at -6. His breaking run value also at -6. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to love there besides the high ground ball percentage and the low barrel rate. But other than that, yeah, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that indicates Mauricio Llovera is going to be some sort of amazing player. Like I said, I hope that he does. And I brought this up when talking about pretty much all the Mariners relievers. If there's any team that's going to figure out how to, make Mauricio Llovera good and, revive his career, not that his career needs to be revived, but if there's going to be a team that's going to turn this guy into a stud, it's probably going to be the Mariners, because we do have a track record of taking random relievers and making them into studs. Look at Drew Steckenrider. Look at Justin Topa. Look what we did for some of these players. We've made them so much better in the Mariners pitching lab. So can it happen? Can Mauricio Llovera be really good this year? Yeah, he can. I just don't know if he will. Let's see what the projections have him at. The projections are having him with a 4.6 ERA in 45 innings, a 2-3 record, 43 strikeouts, 1.35 WHIP. Yeah, I don't think that he's going to pitch that much. I'm going to be honest. I don't think Mauricio Llovera is making the opening day roster. 45 innings seems pretty high. I think he'll probably come closer to 30 innings and probably an ERA of around 4.8, 4.9-ish. So I'm a bit lower on him than the projections are, but not super low. I mean, I think he'll be better than he has most years in his career with the Mariners, but I just don't see him really getting that increased volume because there's so many guys that he's competing with for innings. I mean, you look at looking at the roster, the Mariners have pretty much locked to make the roster at this point is going to be Munoz, Brash, Santos, Saucedo, Gabe Spire, Trent Thornton. So that's 6 guys right there. Austin Voth has a major league deal, so he'll be on the roster. So now Llovera is competing with about 6 other guys for one spot in the roster. I just don't see how he's going to get 45 innings. I don't know if he pitches 45 innings, it means there's significant injuries to multiple players in the bullpen, which I really hope doesn't happen. but it could. But I'm not doing these projections on the assumption that there will be major injuries. I'm doing them on the assumption that there might be some minor ones, and I'm doing it on the assumption that he will get called up potentially if people struggle. But I don't think that it's fair for me to try to predict a major injury. Will somebody have to get Tommy John? Yeah, probably. On average, about one guy a year is going to end up being out for the season, have to get Tommy John, right? But I'm not going to try to predict that. So, Mauricio Llovera, could he get more of a volume? Could he get more opportunity this year? He could. But I don't necessarily think that happens, barring some kind of crazy circumstances. Because to me, he's probably the 11th or 12th best guy in your bullpen, and there's definitely a lot of players who are going to be competing for those innings. But guys, with that being said, let me know down in the comments, what do you think about Mauricio Llovera? Am I too low on him? Am I too high on him? Am I just right? Do you guys think that he is going to make the opening day roster? Like I said, I don't think he will, but maybe. Who knows? I mean, he does have some experience. He does have, let's see, what is his total? He has 59 total innings, 54 total games under his belt in 4 seasons of Major League Baseball. So maybe we want to go for the more experienced guy instead of somebody like Carlos Vargas, who's a little bit more raw, or instead of somebody like Jackson Kowar, who just has a terrible ERA, or somebody like Ty Adcock, who's again a little bit more raw. Maybe we do want to go with Llovera for opening day. I personally wouldn't, but you never know. Maybe he has just an amazing spring training and proves me wrong. I hope he does. I hope every single player that we talk about in this series does better than I think they will, because that means we're going to win the World Series. You know what I mean? Obviously. But with that being said, guys, my name is Levi. This is the NW Sportscast. Thank you so much for watching, and tune in tomorrow as we continue going through every single member of the Mariners bullpen before the 2024 season begins.